Good evening. In today's guide, we're going to talk about the Mine 98 situation. So this is Mine 98. You can find it by zooming in on your map. It'll show Mine 98. If you've been active on the Fox Discord, you'll probably have noticed that a lot of people are constantly talking about how Mine 98 is the best gear farm. The first correction to that is, one, Mine 98 is a gear farm. It is just the first one that everyone gravitated towards in the community. You can recreate the Mine 98 gear farm at about 20% of different roadside emergencies. So the Mine 98 gear farm is initiated by going through the roadside emergency until the point where you're supposed to revive the technician, and then you just don't revive the technician and the mobs will respawn infinitely. And what people have been doing is they'll get a lot of people there so that the threat level, like this thing up here, goes up to level 10. And when you are at threat level 10, your gear drops are better, right? What people don't tell you is that threat level scales infinitely. So if there's 6,000 ego people sitting there just AFK, your threat level is going to be 40, 50, 30. It just doesn't say that on the threat level. The mobs in this game scale infinitely based on the ego of the players around them. So if you are at a Mine 98 farm where there's a bunch of people that are just AFK, it's not going to be an efficient farm because the mobs are going to scale up to threat level 30, threat level 40, threat level 50. And the time to kill versus the amount of loot you're getting just isn't worth it. But Mine 98 is just one of many gear farms that you can reenact in this game. If you look at the map, right, there is a very large map. This is just one tiny segment of the map. There are these roadside emergencies all over the place. Like, you can just look around and see all these different areas. Imure, Cribbler 33rd, Bathhouse, like all these areas have different emergencies tied to them. And about 20% of them have some point of farming ability where you can go in and just go there with a bunch of people, not complete the quest objective, and use that area to farm gear. So while Mine 98 is the most popular farm, it is not considered the best farm. There are a lot better farms in the game, and something to remember about these is these are end game gear farms. The reason they are end game gear farms is because you want to do them at above 4,500 ego, ideally 5,000 plus ego. Anytime you get a shield drop, anytime you get a weapon drop, if you are doing this below 4,000 ego, and you are normally doing this for money or to get tier 4 and tier 5 mods for yourself for weapons and whatnot, if you get a 3,000 ego sniper rifle that is best in slot, it's amazing, right? If you want to sell that, you are going to have to spend a bunch of Arc Forge to level it up to 6,000 ego so you can use it at endgame. Or the person you're selling it to is going to have to spend 600 Arc Forge to level it up to a weapon or a shield that can be used at endgame. So many people right now are getting trapped at this Mine 98 farm where they go here as soon as they start the game because everyone's talking about how amazing it is, and they get all these like 800, 700, 1,200 ego weapons and shields, and they're best in slot, like they're amazing, right? Like they have perfect synergy rolls, perfect nano effect, everything about them is good. But when you try to sell that, players at 6,000 ego, players at 5,000 ego that actually have the currency to buy these best in slot, really good weapons and shields and whatnot, they look at it and say, hey, if I buy this from you, I'm going to have to spend 600 Arc Forge. in order to get it to a state where it's at 6,000 ego and I can actually use it at endgame where I currently am at. So if you go to these gear farms before your 4,500, 5,000, 6,000, 5,500 ego, these are all acceptable ego levels to do a gear farm at. But if you do these gear farms before you get to that point in progression of your account, you are making it so that if you do get a rare drop, you're going to make less money off that. If you do get a rare drop that you intend to use in the end game, like, oh, I just got this Purgatory, I just got this Mass Blaster, I just got this Mass Cannon, and it's cleansing napalm, like it is the best Mass Cannon or the best Mass Blaster I can use. Well, good job, because you decided to do it at early game instead of at late game where it was meant to be done gear farms, and you are going to have to spend 600 Arc Forge to level that from 1,000 ego to 6,000 ego. That way the damage of the weapon and all the base stats of the weapon actually scale up. Like, there's so many people getting stuck at mine 98 below 3,000 ego where they start the game and they say, hey, I just want to make money, or hey, I just want to get good weapons, and then they get these good weapons and then they just waste all this currency. Like, yeah, if you're late game, you can do these gear farms and it's profitable for you. Even at low ego, it's profitable for you. But the problem is, you're making less money because you're not progressing your account and progressing your character before deciding to do these gear farms. It is infinitely better to say, hey, I'm going to go level all my weapons to 20. Okay, that's 1,280 ego. I'm going to focus on pursuits. Okay, by the time I hit EXP cap, I'm going to have 1,000 ego from pursuits. If you only level your weapons and pursuits and didn't gain any XP, you're going to be 2,000 ego. If you do the main story quest line and side quests first, you're going to be around 4,000 ego. Like, if you just do other things and actually play the game before just jumping into the game and doing the crazy trending mine 98 gear farm, you're going to progress economically and as your character as a whole much faster than other people that jump into the game, get to like 500 ego and hear about this mine 98 gear farm and say, people are getting money, people are getting mods, people are getting weapons and shields that are good for them, I'm gonna go do that. Because then you're gonna have to spend 100 hours grinding co-op maps to get the Arc Forge to actually level up those low ego weapons that you got, those low ego shields that you got. If you want to level them to the point where you can use them at endgame, you're going to have to do 100 hours of co-op maps. Like, mathematically, it does not make sense to go in your early game to do these gear farms that are made for late game. But yeah, you can do gear farms at late game. 4,500 ego is the minimum for doing these gear farms if you want to be anything close to efficient. But if you go and do these gear farms at mine 98 or at any of the other 20% of roadside emergencies all over the map that you can do to just grind gear out and get good items, honestly, you're just wasting your time. Like, the only reason so many people are doing this mine 98 gear farm is because they can just sit here clicking on a door. Oh, I'm watching Netflix. I'm watching YouTube. I'm not even playing the game. I'm just clicking on a door. That's the only reason people are doing this, because it's AFKable. But the amount of progress you make in the game while doing AFKable actions will never equal the amount of progress you can make in the game while actually pursuing a goal. If you're going for a pursuit, if you're going for 5,000 light machine gun kills, if you're going for 2,500 major arcfall kills, if you're trying to revive 100 players during a major arcfall, like, the amount of progress you make by focusing on pursuits in the early game and then the mid game, and then doing these gear farms in the late game, it's insane how much more money you'll save, how much Arc Forge you'll save. You're saving yourself so much more time by doing these late game gear farms in the late game where they're meant to be done. But so many new players are just getting trapped because they go to these Mine 98 gear farms in the early game when they're below 2000 ego, and they say, oh, I got a tier 4 mod, I got a tier 5 mod, I got a tier 4 weapon, a tier 5 weapon. Like, you get so much loot that these people are just misunderstanding it. And they're not realizing about the late game repercussions of just sitting at Mine 98, of just sitting there and AFKing, watching Netflix. Okay, oh, I finished all of House of Cards on Netflix. Well, okay, now what do? Oh, I have 15 really good weapons I want to level up. Well, now I have to do co-op maps for 100 hours to grind Arcforge to level all these weapons up. Because the rate at which I farm Arcforge will never match the rate at which I have to level the weapons up to match my ego. Like, it doesn't make sense. So, too long didn't read. Save these gear farms for late game. They are useful. Gear farms are always useful. But they are useful in the late game. These are late game gear farms. If you do these gear farms in the early game, you are sabotaging yourself for the future. That's going to be it for this one.